I feel like these people...
That's such a loaded
These
shit.
people have put more work into...
Why am I even, considering their argument? Like, I fucking know the Earth is round. You know? Like, they're idiot. They're psychopaths.
These people have put
The
more
fact
work
that
into
they
this.
know English, but don't know... Or they know how to speak a language, and they think the Earth is flat is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, motherfucker. We're gonna take it up a few notches right now. See if y'all can keep up.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of the ScruffCast. I'm John.
And I'm Dan, and today we have our very special guest here. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, it's Anthony over here.
So, this is Anthony. He's the special guest we were telling everybody about last week. And so we got three of us on the podcast today, so...
It's going to be 33% better than normal.
Or it's just going to be really confusing. And we're going to be talking over each other, and it's going to be 10 times worse than normal.
The same amount of quality, but now divided by an extra member.
I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. This is awesome, guys.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a privilege to be on the ScruffCast, so... We're happy to have you, but you should also be happy to be here.
I had to sell my unborn child to be on the show, to be honest.
It's a high price to pay, but we think it's worth it.
It is. So, if you all remember, we told you last week that we're heading to Chicago tomorrow, which is today when you're listening, I guess. So we asked for any email tips from you guys, or Twitter tips.
We put out the call, and the listeners, well, one listener, he answered.
So, got an email here. I will read it to you.
Wait, Dan.
What?
How do they reach us?
They reach us at scruffcast@gmail.com.
What
Or,
if they want to tweet us?
well, then they reach us at scruffcast. But, John, what if they want to get us on Instagram?
Well, then they find us at the ScruffCast.
Because some
guy
bum took
already has
ScruffCast.
Now, continuing with the listener who emailed us at scruffcast.com.
All right, here we go. Hey, guys. Really enjoying your show lately. Glad to see you're adding guests and going international already.
Little
There we
shout
go.
out.
A little shout out to
That's
you there,
me.
Anthony. Okay. Oh, a bueno or no bueno. Here we go. Bueno or no bueno. Bringing recording equipment on the plane to record special ScruffCast abroad segments. It's a no bueno from me.
Maybe if we did video podcasts.
Video
we could have,
podcasts,
like
we could do a
ScruffCast
vlog.
goes on tour.
Yeah, or like a vlog.
Yeah.
A vlogcast. Yeah, we would think of a better name than
Better
a vlogcast.
idea, but anyways.
Anthony, bueno or no bueno to that?
Well, I'd say with my 30 seconds of experience on the show, I would probably not bring that equipment on the plane.
So, no bueno.
That's a no bueno
No
from all of us.
bueno.
Okay. Wanted to share some ideas for your trip to Chicago. Head up to Navy Pier for a hypothermia-induced view of Lake Michigan during the famously warm Chicago April. Walk along the boardwalk to the zoo that locals describe as open on weekends. Head into the city for a meal from one of the dozens of restaurants claiming to have the best deep dish pizza in Chicago, and find out just how many local TV stations are willing to be bribed to award the coveted title. Visit one of Chicago's famous jazz clubs, and gain a new appreciation for the often misunderstood art of not actually knowing how to play an instrument properly and calling it jazz. And finally, fight over the couch and a lumpy air mattress supplied by your gracious hosts for the week, and have an amazing time in spite of it all. Hope you guys have a good time. Your Chicago superfan. Sent via the BlackBerry Hub for Android because some people have trouble letting go. That's a funny little ad.
You should work for Travel Chicago. That sounded excellent.
That was well written.
It was a little like a backhand slap to all of Chicago, it seemed like, though. You know?
They're on that second tier list. First goes everywhere, then Chicago, then Buffalo. Which
Buffalo.
we talked about plenty of times on the podcast already.
No, Buffalo is... You're putting Chicago close to Buffalo. That's
No,
That's rude.
it's like a logarithmic scale.
You're
The
gonna
distance
get
between 2 and
knifed as
3.
soon as you get off that plane, John.
The distance between 2 and 3 is huge, where the distance between 1 and 2 is not as big.
fair enough.
Anyways, now we have some suggestions. When we do a follow-up podcast, we will tell you how many of these suggestions we actually did.
So what does he actually say here? Head up to Navy Pier? So let's take all of his things, besides all like the passive-aggressive stuff he says about them, and maybe we'll actually do those things. Navy
Okay.
Pier. Walk along the boardwalk to the zoo. There's a zoo. We can check out zoos.
Open on weekends?
See some restaurants, have some deep dish pizza. That's pretty much all I got out of that. And jazz clubs. So we can check all those things out, I guess.
I'm into the deep dish pizzas, to be honest.
I'm also into the deep dish pizzas.
As am I.
All right.
All right. 3 for 3 on the deep dish.
That was easy.
3 out of 3.
Okay. Moving on here.
Okay, so the Navy appears like a carnival.
Okay, we're not moving on here.
From what I'm looking at here.
Derailing the first special guest.
He's hijacking this. He's going rogue.
It was just taking that long for it to load, so I thought I'd... Marshmallow's playing April 7th.
What's Marshmallow?
Marshmallow, he's an EDM artist who has like a giant bucket on his head.
What?
Yeah, and it kind of looks like a marshmallow.
Doesn't Deadmau5 already have the bucket on his head?
Yeah, which is why this guy's a
And what about Buckethead?
It's actually
the guitar player?
Deadmau 5.
Deadmau5.
Which is why this marshmallow guy
We're
is like, he's
already
like the
talking
buffalo.
all over each other. This is terrible.
All right, listeners, you picked a good one. So moving on.
Okay,
Dan,
for real.
You have a story for us?
Oh, I do. So, if you guys listen to previous podcasts, I had a little run-in with a Trump-loving hairdresser. Anthony, I'll bring you up to speed. By the way, we're going to have to do this a lot with Anthony, because he doesn't actually even listen to this podcast.
Yeah, the first special guest never listened.
Doesn't even listen, so we're going to have to bring him up to speed.
I'm going to listen to this episode.
Well, obviously, you're on it. So, anyway, I went and got a haircut at the place I normally go to. The guy who cuts my hair wasn't there, and there was a European older woman there, and she was talking about how much she loved Trump. That was kind of the whole thing. It was kind of weird, got a little awkward, and that was that. So, I went to that same hairdresser this week and to get another haircut. And so the guy again wasn't there, and she was there. So I was like, okay, whatever, get my haircut. So as soon as I sit down in the chair, first off, she assumed that I wanted a buzz cut. So I get down there. Oh, you want a buzz cut, right? I'm making her sound like she's Jamaican now, but or like
That was
East
Jamaican?
Indian.
Oh, man.
I don't do accents. But anyway, I gotta get my Eastern European accent down a little bit. You want a buzz cut? Oh man, this is bad. Okay, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Which I didn't. I never get buzz cuts.
No bueno.
No bueno on the buzz cut. And then she immediately starts talking about Trump. Totally unprovoked. I didn't mention anything. They have a little TV there. He wasn't even on the TV. And she just immediately said, I love Trump so much. You know that? And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? So she was like going on about him for a little bit. And then she starts talking about, because you know he had that interview with that Stormy Daniels, the porn star? Or no, he didn't have the interview. She had the interview with 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
And so she starts talking about her and how stupid she is and how her boobs are so big that she can't touch her feet. And I was like, okay. And then she went on to talk about how she wants the wall to be built. She's like, oh, the wall needs to be built. The wall needs to be built. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Whatever. And she's like, yeah, we got to keep those gypsies out, you know? The gypsies. All those gypsies coming from Mexico?
Yeah, that's the least of your worries.
The least of your worries
Mexico.
is the gypsies. And so, yeah. And then she went on to talk about how she has gypsies that live in her apartment and that they stole her barbecue. We were out there for 1 second. We go inside, and next thing you know, we come out, and the gypsies stole our barbecue. I asked where she was from, by the way. It's Yugoslavia. So,
Oh, okay.
She's
like hardcore Eastern European.
So if anybody has a good Yugoslavian accent, they can
It
voice
looks
record
like you got
it.
a nice Yugoslavian cut going on there.
Yeah, I know. Right? So that was it. It was it's just weird. It's weird sitting down in that chair. Sitting down, and she just immediately starts talking about Trump, and I don't really care about politics in general.
Regardless of what side you're on.
Probably a gypsy.
She's probably a gypsy.
A Yugoslavian haircutter talking about Trump in Canada.
Yeah.
Very suspicious.
Yeah.
So that's a weird situation.
That's
is
why
a
she's
very
like,
weird situation.
yeah, we got to build that wall. We got to keep those gypsies out, not me.
Keep this gypsy in.
Speaking of the wall, one of the best things was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but somebody said something to Trump he didn't like, and his threat was, the wall just got 10 feet higher. What does that even mean? It's like the wall doesn't even exist, says it is, and he's like, it just got 10 feet higher. You're just going to keep adding 10 feet every time?
Yeah, I love that.
Before you know it's a dome.
I love that she assumed that the wall between Mexico and the United States was going to keep the gypsies from Europe coming over here.
Yeah, they take the.
I don't think that's going to do it, lady.
They take the boats over to
Pretty big wall
Mexico,
for that one.
and then they come up.
I guess so. I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty funny though. But I don't know. That's about it. John?
All right. We're all gypsied out. Moving along. we have a topic similar to one of our banned topics, which is one of the banned topics is Ticketmaster.
One of the banned topics is also Logan Paul.
Yes.
But it's not about Logan Paul.
It's not about Logan Paul, and it's tertiary, if that's even a word, around Ticketmaster. So I read an article here that said, because baseball season is coming up, and it said that, so the local team here in Toronto is the Toronto Blue Jays, and it said that the headline is, Blue Jays earn a cut from every ticket scalped on StubHub. So StubHub is one of those like third-party ticket reselling sites, right?
Yeah.
So Toronto Star recently did an investigation. It was talking about thousands of tickets for the Toronto Blue Jays home opener were instantly bought as soon as they were available and then flipped and resold. And we're like, okay, that's nothing out of the ordinary compared to the other stories where we talked about the Justin Timberlake tickets. And what makes this interesting in particular is that the team themselves are actually getting a bit of a cut from all of these resold tickets.
Yeah.
And then when the head of communications for StubHub was asked about this, like, oh, how much are the Blue Jays actually making? He responded by saying, they do very well. Let's put it that way. So when you delve into the statistics a little more, here's where it gets really interesting. So over 20,000 tickets, which is about 44.7% of all the Rogers Center seats that were available.
Almost 50% of all tickets.
Almost half of these tickets were bought and then posted for resale. Of those 20,000, over 16,000 were listed for at least 50% more than their face value. This is a huge markup already.
Yeah.
And then the average resale markup was 205%.
205% markup on the average ticket.
That's almost 206%.
A little more than 204.
A little more than 204.
So based on the fact that the majority of them were at least 50% above, and then the average is so high, makes me think maybe there's some that were like absurdly expensive, like huge LRs. But 3,500 of those tickets were already posted to resale websites in January. A month before the box office even opened. These people just assume they're getting these tickets.
That's what I find like fascinating though, is the fact that these tickets were posted on the website in January before the tickets even went on sale. How were the tickets posted when people don't even know what seats they're going to be buying? Like, how do these scalpers know for sure what seats they can buy? Honestly, or, I got one here. Maybe it's not scalpers. Maybe it's like actually StubHub buying the tickets. You know what I mean? Maybe StubHub just purchases the tickets from the Jays, and then they resell them on their own site. Jays also get a cut of them. This is sickening.
I would honestly not be surprised. So the last little fact here is that the only tickets that didn't seem to interest the scalpers were those reserved for wheelchairs. So hot tip from the ScruffCast.
Yeah.
If you're looking to avoid the scalpers, you just got to show up in a wheelchair.
Anthony, how do you feel about this StubHub situation?
Let's loop
I
you
think
in.
it's ridiculous, to be honest.
I agree. Explain.
Well, they're marking up all the ticket prices, selling them, and then they're making a profit on the sold tickets. It blows my mind.
It is insane because they make their original price. You know what I mean? Blue Jays sell their original tickets, and then people will take those tickets, put them on StubHub, and then StubHub will sell the tickets and then give a cut of those tickets sold back to the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays are making like their markup, their sale plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and StubHub
they're making their sale twice.
is making their sale right off of whoever's buying them again.
My question is, real quick, why did StubHub even cut the Blue Jays in on this?
I think you might be right. Maybe the Blue Jays are selling the tickets directly to StubHub.
That's what I'm thinking, because why would StubHub care that the Jays were even in it?
Yeah, if anything, it would be... Well, StubHub would be like, whoa, now these guys are coming and taking a cut of like money we
It's
used
almost
to
like
wholly
they'll
own.
sell them the tickets on the condition that they make a profit when they sell them.
Yeah. No,
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. It's like, yeah, because like this is what we're thinking. It's like that StubHub is selling... the Blue Jays are selling the tickets to StubHub.
Exactly.
And then selling them, right? Like...
And that's the condition. We'll sell you the tickets first, because anytime you want to buy a ticket, you're going to go to StubHub, right? So they're going to...
Yeah, if you can't get them, kind of...
Yeah, so they're going to sell StubHub the tickets, and then the condition is that when they go and sell the tickets, they also get a cut.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we kind of think is going on here now. You know what I mean?
So here's another thing the article says, which was President and CEO of the Blue Jays said that half of the team has 13,000 season ticket holders, and half of them are held by, and this is in quotes here, brokers who resell seats for profit.
It's pretty sad that they know about this, that the organization knows about this and doesn't do anything to stop it.
But what would they do? It's bringing them in more money, especially if they're making these extra cuts.
But it should be more about the fan experience. I understand it's a business, but it's got to be about the fan experience as well, no?
And I agree. Like, so if you say that half of these 13,000, so let's just cut it right in the middle, say 6,500 of these season ticket holders are just brokers reselling for profit, then you actually only have 6,500 season ticket holders, which in a stadium that holds, what, it was like, it said 20,000 was like 40%.
It's like
44%. So let's say
I thought it was
50,000.
like 55,000.
Let's say it's like 55,000. That's like barely over 10% are actual season ticket holders, which is a pretty shitty number, right?
Yeah.
So by having all these brokers, they get to essentially double the number while making a cut. It's like a win-win for the Jays.
There's something fishy going on here, you know? And I thought this before already with like the whole Ticketmaster thing and whatever, but like just with StubHub cutting the Blue Jays, you know, a piece of the pie kind of thing, it's like, I don't know, this is really weird. There's no reason for them to include the Blue Jays in any profits that they make unless the Blue Jays are selling them tickets.
It adds an extra layer of seediness to it.
Yeah. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
They say that, so they actually talked to fans, and most of them were saying, it seems wrong, right? So this is a quote from one of the fans. It seems wrong, doesn't it? I know the team wants to maximize their profits in any way they can, but this just seems off somehow, which is kind of exactly what we were just saying. It seems off. It seems a little shady, right? Shadier than normal Ticketmaster practices. So the same fan went on to say, like, you know, he was shocked to learn so many of the tickets for today's game, which this was when the home opener was happening, which was just in the past week, were snatched up and resold for profit. He said, it amazes me. He figured it'd be like 10% at most, and here was like 45% of these tickets. Right? I don't know. We've gone into the topic quite a bit before, but it's just ridiculous.
StubHub the same as Ticketmaster?
No, StubHub is like a resale website. So like Ticketmaster is like originally where you go to buy tickets. So like for a concert, for a game, all that kind of stuff, you originally go to Ticketmaster to buy your tickets, and that's like the face value version of getting the tickets. So once all those tickets are sold, they can be resold on sites like StubHub, Vivid Seats, and now Ticketmaster also has their own version of resale sites. Yeah, it's pretty much just like a safe, guaranteed place for people to buy tickets that are sold out and whatever, right? But the whole problem is now is that scalpers are just buying up all these tickets and reselling them at like 205% more, whatever, right? The whole thing.
Is it just the Jays, or is it just
it's
like,
it's become like everything. This specific incident is only the Jays.
Apparently the article actually says most major league teams.
Yeah, most major league
have
teams
similar partnerships.
This is baseball, but like you never know. Like it may be happening with musicians and everything, right? Like it may not be just baseball, but it's interesting now that I think about it though. Like I remember like watching like Jays and Yankees games, and I always like you see like at the Yankee Stadium, there's advertisements for StubHub like behind home plate.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because then they're making an extra cut off that if you get it off StubHub.
Exactly.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. This is like, I'm not gonna go too complaining into it again because we've done it so much, but this is really sketchy now.
Yeah.
It's like isn't there like the what's it called, the competitive bureau or something like that?
There's a Better Business Bureau.
Better Business Bureau maybe.
And there's one other thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember, but
someone's got to look into this though, because there's like some sketchy practices going on here.
On the ScruffCast, we just bring up the problems.
Somebody else
has
solves
gotta
them.
solve them.
We don't actually solve them. So, government, get out there, solve that problem for the people.
ScruffCast for the people.
ScruffCast for the people.
All right. Are we all Ticketmastered out, StubHubbed out?
Yeah, we're done. I think that's the official end to Ticketmaster and StubHub.
Yes.
We're going to drop it in the Logan Paul category.
Officially banned from the ScruffCast.
Banned from the ScruffCast.
Unless they become advertisers forever.
And then we will advertise about them.
Yes. So we got a juicy next story here on Forbes under the science section with the hashtag #WoScience.
Ooh.
So the article title is Flat Earth Rocket Man Finally Blasts Off in Homemade Rocket to Prove Earth is Flat. So,
Okay, before anything, in case anybody doesn't know, I'm sure everybody does, but explain what flat earthers are. The people who believe the Earth is flat. Explain what the whole thing is.
okay, so you know how we've been living on the Earth for all this time, right? And, you know, NASA's gone to space, and you can see that the Earth is a sphere, right? There are people out there who are like, no, the Earth is flat like a pancake. Why they would believe this? I have no idea. But they're out there. How many people are actually in this camp that believe this? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge...
It's a minority.
Yeah, but
you know, these people are dumb, so we got to tell them.
It's enough people to make some noise anyway, like that you hear about it, you know?
If your topic gets on the ScruffCast, whoa, you are a big deal. You're a big deal. So, there's this prominent flat earther who goes by the nickname Mad Mike. So, Mad Mike Hughes.
Are you going to say his name like that every time?
Yeah.
So anyway, we did this in Mad Mike.
So flat earthers believers have one more thing to hang their hat on. Their very own flat earth rocket man, Mad Mike Hughes, finally launched his homemade rocket into the sky with him aboard in an attempt to prove the earth is indeed as flat as a pancake. I can already see Anthony laughing over there. The ridiculousness of this. So the launch, which took place on a Saturday afternoon here in March in the Mojave Desert, it sent Mad Mike over 1,800 feet into the sky in a giant green rocket he built himself out of scrap metal. The giant green rocket was labeled Research Flat Earth.
That's like a third of the height of the CN Tower.
Yeah.
So this is an impressive homemade rocket. So it operated surprisingly smoothly, according to the article, given it was homemade and built on a very small budget using scrap metal. And estimates indicate
A Honda Civic going in.
estimates indicate that estimates indicate that the final cost was about $20,000. So it's pretty expensive for a guy just building his own rocket, but very small compared to like actual rockets, right?
Yeah.
So here's where it gets really good. The launch pad itself was a modified mobile home, which Mad Mike spent months building for his upcoming rocket launch. After he reached the 1,875 feet apex of the launch, the rocket successfully deployed. Its parachutes glided back down to Earth. Mad Mike told the Associated Press he was glad he did it, although he'll feel it in the morning. He's been, according to this, the 61-year-old daredevil has taken to much publicized rocket launches in the recent years.
So, Mad Mike.
Probably didn't even have a seat inside it. That's why he's fucking flying around inside there.
I know. You might want to talk a little more into the mic, Anthony.
Okay.
You're
Sorry.
looking off to the side.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's all right. You're new to the podcast game.
Yeah,
We're
no,
trying to
I gotta
keep you
get
up
used to
date.
looking at getting my lips a bit closer. That'll be the last time I say that, by the way.
All right, so Mad Mike is over. Okay, so he says like over time he's going to build a rocket large enough to blast himself into orbit. Right now, these are kind of like test rockets.
Yeah, but first, the result, did he prove the Earth was flat after this launch?
No. That's not what this launch was about. This launch was like a proof of
preliminary.
concept in a sense, right?
Like I can build a rocket, I can blast off, and I can survive.
Exactly.
Well,
Which
first off, I
he
gotta
did
say,
technically.
kudos to him, because that's pretty impressive building
pretty
a rocket.
I was
ballsy.
gonna say, if you're gonna take scrap metal and launch yourself, even if you went 10 meters, that's impressive.
Yeah, you can come down
know?
your head and still kill yourself. Like,
And he landed obviously safely.
Oh yeah, people have like fallen off ladders and died.
yeah. So for him to, oh man, yeah, it is pretty impressive. So he flew almost 2,000 feet in the air, and like it's kind of funny. The funniest thing is like he was like slightly injured when he fell. So like the parachute's deployed and he hit the ground, but he still hit the ground with a decent amount of force that like he hurt his back and stuff like that. So there's actually a picture on the article of him being like stretchered off into an ambulance, and he looks like a Doc from Back to the Future. Doesn't he a little bit? Well, like the hair. Just like look at the hair. You can see.
That's why they call him Mad Mike. So here's they have a quote from him. And now Mad Mike goes on record and he says he doesn't believe in science. Which is pretty absurd because he's like trying to test out his own hypothesis here. So
Not
he's
according to him, though.
Well, so I'll read you the quote from him. I don't believe in science. I know about aerodynamics and fluid dynamics and how things move through the air, about the certain size of rocket nozzles and thrust, but that's not science. That's just a formula. There's no difference between science and science fiction, despite the fact that science fiction has fiction added on.
He dropped a bomb.
Yeah, go ahead. Continue, Dan.
No, I was gonna say like the funniest thing about the whole flat Earth thing is pretty interesting, and there's like people always trying to debunk it, right? Like, not necessarily debunk it, but like try to tell these people from flat Earth, like, hey guys, like, come on, like there's this reason and that reason, and so like one of the I did some research into the flat Earth thing before, right? Not that I was interested in it, but I just like found it funny because I wanted to see their side of it, Why do these people believe the Earth's flat, and like what's the reason for it? And so one of the reasons was people were saying, like astrophysicists and stuff were saying, like, oh, we have gravity on Earth. We couldn't have gravity on like if the Earth was flat, like we need a sphere kind of thing, right? And force and whatever. And they were saying, oh, well, the reason we have gravity is because we're being like propelled up through space. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole disk essentially is like floating up, like at a certain speed. I forget what it was now, and that creates the gravity to keep us held on the ground. It's like people like this. It's the whole conspiracy thing, right? Like I think people with these certain conspiracies like take things a little too far.
So how would they explain how like the moon is rotating around the Earth?
So they don't believe the moon's rotating around the Earth. It's like a pancake, right? Like a flat disc. And then if you like like a yin yang symbol, it would almost be like you had a pancake and you had the moon and the sun above the pancake in like that yin yang sort of formation, and they're just alternating around, rotating in a circle, which is why we can still see them, and which is why when you're on one side of the pancake, right, like split, like flatly, if you're on one side of the pancake, you're going to see the moon instead of the sun because the moon is on your side of the disc and the sun's on the other. That's what they believe anyway.
But like as far as I know, the flat earthers they believe the Earth is flat, but they believe that other things are round. Like that are, spheres. Like the sun and other planets.
Yeah, they're just above this pancake.
Why would they believe that just the Earth was flat? Like, people like this drive me crazy. Like, there's some people that are, like, so conspiracy driven that, like, oh, everyone's out to lie to us about everything. Even the fact that the Earth is flat. Why would it matter if the Earth was flat? Would it make any difference to you if they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, the Earth is flat. You'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. You go on about your day. Like it would make no impact in my life at all.
The government, man, they're out to get us.
They're out to get you, man. So like, just the whole flat Earth thing is like ridiculous.
It is absurd because you think like we've seen NASA send satellites and even rockets with humans on them into space and taken pictures of the Earth, right?
It's all fake, according to the flat earthers.
So NASA just fakes these photos.
Yep.
What's that guy's name? Mad Mike?
Yeah.
Mad
So
Mike.
So he wants to go into space eventually.
Yeah, so then he can see it for the pancake that it is and be like, look, I'm the first, person who built their own rocket and launched into space. Like, I'm outside of all this government intervention.
Yeah, and boom, here's your proof, everyone. The Earth is flat.
So he just wants to do a straight shot up in the air.
Take
and
some
come
photos.
Back down. Like, he doesn't have any plan on going into orbit or anything.
No, I don't think he wants to go like into space and orbit around the planet. I don't think that's his goal. I think his goal is to get up as high as he can, take photos, come back down.
But I feel like part of it, like, you should try to disprove, like, if you're gonna go into space, you should try and go into orbit because the Earth needs to be round in order to go into orbit. So why doesn't he try to attempt that? And then if he can't do it, then maybe that'll help his cause in the fact that the Earth is flat.
Well, you could argue that his failed rocket launch, he just failed going into orbit, right?
I
like,
guess.
if he believes the Earth's flat, he'd never be able to actually go into orbit, right? Would he actually be able to just fly off the end of the pancake? Like, how do they explain that one? Right? And the thing I think is, why do these people think, like, oh, the Earth must be flat? Because you would think, like, if you took a toddler or somebody, right, and you're like, is the Earth round? Is the Earth flat? They'd be like, I don't know. it's flat, right? Like you're just walking, like the ground
Yeah,
is
exactly.
flat where you
Yeah.
are.
You don't notice the
You
curve,
only know
yeah.
what you see, right?
Yeah.
Right, which is why when you look at the horizon, right, unless you're really high up, it just looks flat. Which is why these people would have this belief. But the whole thing comes from like, oh well, I haven't been up in space and seen the Earth's round, right? But if you ask any of these people, well, have you ever seen like $1 million in cash? They'd say no, and I'd say,
Well, how do you know it exists?
How do you know that that's real, right? Same thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we're told to believe that we believe. That was a very general statement. I had nothing to follow that up. But
We're told we believe something, and
That we
believe it.
believe.
and that is all. No, but like like you just said, right? Like the $1 million example. But like, just I don't understand why would they lie about the Earth being round or Earth? You know what I mean? Oh, it's round. What purpose do the flat earthers believe that like serves?
It's like the new thing is to not believe in in what the majority is saying. That's the new thing.
Yeah, you're right. It's like the
know?
hipster view,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you guys all believe the Earth's round? Oh, totally flat.
It's totally
You guys
flat.
are totally
The
wrong.
very first sentence on the Flat Earth Wikipedia tells you about how ridiculous it is. The Flat Earth model is an archaic conception of Earth's shape as a plane or disc. Which right there goes to show you is ridiculous. Because they used to believe that the Earth was flat, and then there was actually, if you sailed right off the end, you'd fall
How
off.
would you even explain continents? Like, there would have to be, if you think the Earth is flat, there would have to be a point where you get to the edge, and whatever country that is on that edge is obviously
Right.
this thin, non-existent thing.
Okay, so I looked into this before too, and there's videos. They still have reasons to you know what I mean, to back themselves up. So essentially, if I can remember this, I'll try to do my best here. So it's like all the continents are pretty much in the center of the flat disc, right? Kind of like they're spaced out as you see on a map. Imagine like placing a map out. That's how they're spaced out on the disc. Everything around the outside is water. And then, like, Antarctica and the North Pole is actually surrounding the whole outer border of the flat disc. So it's all, like, snow-covered all the way around,
So
right?
Antarctica and the North Pole are like one?
Yes, connected. And,
Okay.
and they
In like
and
a
they-
ring?
and they- yeah, like
ring
right
around?
around the outer edge
Okay.
of the flat Earth. And so some flat earthers, I think this is all of them. They actually believe it's not fully flat. It's almost like it like kind of like curves up at the edges. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you like it's hard to get to the edge, and you'd almost constantly be like falling back down type thing.
Okay,
I
so
see-
like
I saw,
when you
like,
watch
this
the
video. It was like
intro
a
of Game of
CGI video.
Thrones,
Sorry?
When you watch the intro of Game of Thrones, it shows the map. It's all curved up, and then it.
So,
Have you
so
seen it?
it's
Yeah.
I've never watched Game of
it's
Thrones.
like it's like a pancake, but with the edges curled up.
Yeah, that's like that was the whole like diagram and video that I saw, and so I don't know if all flat earthers believe that, but some do, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting what you're talking about earlier, because the common thought, like I don't know how long ago, but a long time ago, was that the Earth was flat, and that there was an edge that you could fall off of.
Yeah, you sail right off the edge, you just fall.
That was
Right,
it.
yeah,
That
they
people
believe
people
that.
That
believe
was
that.
in a time where they didn't know what was on. They didn't know like what was on the other side of the world or anything. They just
Yeah.
knew like
Yeah,
their own country or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Well, the common belief actually used to be that like the sun and the moon went around the Earth, like the Earth was the center of the solar system, or well, like the universe. I guess they believed,
Was
right? And it was Galileo actually proved like no, like the Earth is going around the sun,
yeah,
right? Well, the moon does still go around the Earth, so if they believe that, then they were
they
correct.
were right.
But
Yeah, but the original thought was that everything revolves around the Earth. And that was it.
yeah, which I'll give him some credit. Like, okay, maybe 700 years ago, if you believe that, all right. But the fact that over 40 years ago we put people on the moon and brought them home safely,
Or did we?
And by we, I don't mean us in any capacity, but humanity. If we put them on the moon and brought them back, it's absurd. It's just absurd. I feel like I use that sentence every week. It's absurd.
Here, you know what? I found a picture here of the diagram I was talking about. We can post it to the Twitter at ScruffCast at the end of this too. So if anyone wants to check it out, they can see it there. I'll save this. We'll post it up. Yeah, sorry, John. Go ahead with what you were saying.
So I found a wiki for the Flat Earth Society with some frequently asked questions. And I love it because the very first one is this site a joke? Which, if that's the frequently asked question, that just goes to show you the quality of this foundation. Here's another thing they use to sort of give themselves a little bit of credence of, oh, look, we're correct.
Mm-hmm.
The United Nations emblem closely resembles the flat Earth map.
Oh, I heard of that one before.
Which is ridiculous. People have been into space. How have they not discovered that the Earth is flat? That's another question. The most commonly accepted explanation of this is that the space agencies of the world are involved in the conspiracy faking space travel and exploration, which likely began during the Cold War's space race between the United States and the USSR.
Do these people not think at some point that someone would spill the beans?
You could go in a plane and see the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was watching I was watching a video today on it, and there was like I don't know what he was, some scientist or something, and he was saying, like, just an easy example was like, okay, you watch a boat go away, and you slowly see it lower and lower, and you see its sails, and then you don't see it anymore, and that's it, going around the curvature of the Earth. Like, it's as simple as that, right?
So they tackle that exact question on the FAQ here.
Oh, here we go.
As a passenger on an aircraft, how is it I can see the curvature of the Earth? Right away, first sentence. Quite simply, you cannot. It is widely stated you would need to be at a height of at least 40,000 feet to get even a hint of curvature if Earth were round. Commercial aircraft are not allowed to fly this high. They are only allowed to fly just under this altitude. 36,000 feet might be typical. In addition, the windows on commercial aircraft are small and heavily curved. Even if they flew high enough for a person to see curvature, it would still not be visible to passengers. I feel like these
That's
people...
such a load of shit.
These people have put more work
Why am I
into...
even considering their argument? Like, I fucking know the Earth is round. You know, they're idiot. They're psychopaths.
These people
The
have put
fact that
more
they
work
know
into this.
English but don't know, or they know how to speak a language and they think the Earth is flat is fucking ridiculous.
That pretty much sums it up.
Insane.
These people put in more work into all these theories. There's more info on here about, like, well, how can you describe, like, eclipses and the winter and summer solstice, and how does that affect the seasons? Because these all things have, like, are results of Earth's orbit around the sun because it's a sphere, right? It is insane.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, continue.
I was gonna say, I almost wish we just did a special flat Earth podcast
this
episode,
whole
because
thing-
we
yeah,
could
this
we
whole
could
thing
easily fill the whole podcast with this. Did a little more research, got some more information. I highly suggest everyone just go to YouTube, search up flat Earth, and find the flat Earthers' reasons of why they believe the Earth is flat. Because it's like you watch a lot of conspiracies, right? Conspiracy deaths, conspiracy this, conspiracy that. Like, oh, Tupac faked his own death. These are the reasons. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, all right, I buy that. I can see why that would happen. The flat Earth one, though, it's like every single reason you're kind of like, I don't think so. You know, I don't
Yeah,
see
like
it.
whenever you're in an argument, you know, you have to look at the other side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But something like that is just so beyond. It's just retarded.
Yeah.
Like, they have explanations for everything. So, you know how you're talking about the idea that the flat Earth disk is constantly accelerating upwards, which is why like we have gravity in air quotes here.
Yeah.
So one of the questions on the FAQ is, objects cannot exceed the speed of light. Doesn't this mean that the Earth can't accelerate forever? And then right away in the first sentence, they tell you, due to special relativity, this is not the case. At this point, many readers will question the validity of any answer which uses advanced, intimidating-sounding physics terms to explain a position. Which, yeah, I mean, these people are like, I don't believe in science, but yet they're trying to use science to prove the Earth is flat somehow. And then they start busting out some equations. Right? I love this. One of the sentences in the answer is, however, it is true. According to what? According to what?
That's the thing. It just seems like they're like, oh, blah, blah, you have this like great long question. It's like, actually, that is not true. And then like that's kind of, they just leave it as that.
Right. What about this?
What is the Earth accelerating into? They
I don't know,
they
it's
have
just
this
up.
theory.
Just keeps going up.
They have this theory and then nothing to support it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Oh, it's just accelerating up. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It is insane. I'll make sure to tweet out the link to this FAQ. And it also has a picture of what that flat Earth diagram looks
Okay,
like.
there you go. Maybe we'll post that up there.
Yeah, I'll tweet it out from our Twitter account at ScruffCast.
The whole flat Earth thing is interesting. And it's like it's gained like a lot of momentum over the past couple years. I feel like too.
Yeah, because there's like some notable people, right? Like celebrities who
Kyrie
are, like,
Irving,
flat Earth.
basketball player for Boston Celtics, believes the Earth is flat.
Well, I believe basketballs are flat.
There you go.
Got him.
That's pretty much like a
You know?
yeah, a good comparable there. I think
ScruffCast 1, Kyrie Irving,
0.
0.
All right. I think that's enough flat earthing for today. I think that's enough podcast for today as well.
Have the listeners had their fill?
I think they have. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this three-way podcast. Ugh.
It's okay if it's in a three-way. It's not gay when it's in a three-way.
There you go. So
With
yeah.
the honey in the middle, there's some leeway.
All right.
You're going to
That's
get
all
us
right.
copyright strikes for stealing the lyrics.
I know. So
That's not a thing.
As we said earlier, we're going to Chicago. We'll tell about it when we get back, but we will not be doing a podcast episode next week. So you're going to have to wait an extra week to hear about our trip to Chicago.
Because it's going to take a long time to walk back through all the flat earth in the middle.
Yeah, there's a lot of flat earth we have to get through too.
Good things happen to those that wait.
So
Yes, we're going to come back with twice the punch and 2/3 the amount of guests next time. Or sorry, 2/3 the amount of hosts next time.
Anthony will not be here next time, but we thank you, Anthony, for being on this episode. Episode 15 of the ScruffCast.
No, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I'm glad to be able to stay here and listen to what you guys have to say and have a little bit of input.
There we go.
There you go.
This podcast went a lot better than I expected it to go, actually.
It was a little off the rails.
A little at first, but I think we
I made
finished
a
strong
rum
with...
and coke for 2 people during this podcast.
He did.
Yes.
While we were recording this, I tried to keep it together, but he was trying to make us drinks and then came into the room we were in and was trying to talk to me about
The
something.
studio.
The studio.
The studio.
And trying to ask me where something was, and I couldn't. So if there's noises of pop cans and bottles opening in this, that's all it was.
Hey, we're on vacation. We're going
We
away.
are on
It's a
vacation,
festive episode.
We're like
like
we're
everything
kind of
was a
working
lot
right now,
louder,
you know.
too.
So you
Yeah.
get what you get.
I've never poured a bottle of rum that was so loud ever.
It was very loud.
I can't imagine the listeners are going to be able to live without this for 2 weeks.
No. Do your best, listeners. But besides that, we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
So if you want to fill up those 2 weeks with some fun stuff, you can go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review.
Leave us a note on there. They can leave a
Yeah,
note.
I told you
A
guys
review?
last week. Leave us a review, preferably 5 stars. Leave us a review, and we'll read it out on the podcast.
And
Maybe
John
I'll
will
even do
read
an
it in a
impression.
special accent.
Yeah, I'll do an impression. Maybe
Impression.
I'll bust out my actual Jamaican accent. We
Or
heard Dan's
Christopher
earlier.
Walken, maybe?
Maybe. It depends how good the review is.
All right.
Yeah, email us in with a link to your review and the impression you want us to do.
Oh, that's a good one.
The gauntlet is laid down.
All right. I like the sounds of that. Check us out again on Twitter at ScruffCast. Email us.
Scruffcast@gmail.com.
Check us out on the Instagram.
At the Scruffcast.
And on Twitter. Search the ScruffCast. No, search just ScruffCast, right?
On YouTube, you mean?
What did I say?
You said on Twitter.
Whatever.
We're falling off the rails here. Yes, on Twitter,
tired now, you know?
search for Scruffcast, one word. You're going to see the Scruffcast logo and all our myriad amazing episodes.
We're just
Give
trying
us
to
a
fill
thumbs up.
time here.
We're
I'm
just
trying
filling time.
to slip a second Twitter in there, so hopefully nobody would notice. You know.
Did we mention Twitter? Yeah, search for us on YouTube, Scruffcast, one word. Give us a thumb up on the video if you're watching on there. Leave a comment. We've had listeners who were leaving comments on all the episodes and they stopped. Are you alive out there? What's going on?
What's that one guy doing?
Yeah, come on, man.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. We'll be in Chicago this week. We're going to have some deep dish pizza. And we'll be thinking about you all, though. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
Got me like, oh, as I'm watching her go. All I'm thinking is, oh, damn, that bad thing. I can tell you're really good at distracting.